We are again graced with the presence of Captain Gregory Cotton.
That's me.
Captain Cotton.
Captain Cotton.
That's fun to like have those almost plosive.
Captain Cotton. The consonant dissonance.
Captain.
Yeah. And on the RE20s are really crisp.
Hey, wait. Yeah. Do it like on the, you remember the movie The Pagemaster?
Yeah.
And Adventure?
Oh, that was Patrick Stewart that did the voice of that.
Well, it was epically awesome. I don't know if you remember that movie, Greg, but we used to quote it all the time.
It was a
as
90s
kids.
movie. It was like animation, hand-drawn animation with live action with Macaulay Culkin.
Don't need no library card.
Christopher
Walken?
Lloyd?
No, Lloyd.
Not Lloyd. Hey! What? I mean, I was going, and then I wasn't.
And then I wasn't.
And here I am.
It's good.
No, Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Right? That's him, the Back to the Future guy?
Oh,
yeah.
Doc?
Yeah, Doc.
Yeah.
He was in it. And then the kid is like, he's scared and he's nervous and, you know,
he's dealing with fears and stuff.
Yeah, and so he gets sucked into a library world with books and they're like,
it turns into cartoon.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
But it's the same
crazy.
kid who does, what's his name?
Yeah, it's Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. He's the main actor in it. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
He was the kid of the night. He had everything.
Oh, yeah.
Had every good gig or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, we
the reason why we got onto that, Ken, is because I wanted you to say Captain Cotton, but do like a whole bit.
Like Adventure?
Like Adventure, the book Adventure. You used to do that when we were kids. To be like, aha! And I want you to go, Captain. Captain.
Oh man,
it
was Patrick Stewart, man. He has such an iconic voice. But for some reason, when you watch it, I don't hear Patrick Stewart. I hear Adventure, the book, because he had three friends: adventure, fantasy, and horror. And
horror.
That was horror's voice.
My favorite.
And adventure was you know,
he did it.
Yeah,
that's it. See,
and fantasy was Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, all-star cast right there. He's probably looking it up.
I am. I'm gonna have to watch it tonight.
Dude,
yeah,
what's it called?
Man.
What's it called?
It's called The Pagemaster.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's one of those that like
all the classic stories.
Yes.
Too.
Hound of the Baskervilles.
Hound of Baskervilles.
Moby Dick.
Jekyll and Hyde. Moby Dick. There's a dragon.
Oh,
there.
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island's huge part of that. Yeah. That's where we get the line where John Silver, there's no treasure, in Treasure Island, and they're all there and they're conspiring to kill John Silver, and they're like, let's kill him and eat his parrot.
It'd be so much fun, Greg, if you could watch that movie and kind of join us on these inside jokes.
Yeah, because I have no idea.
Yeah,
it's funny, but
he's like,
it'd be funnier.
He's like, it's not that funny.
Like, you guys are.
Let's talk more about boats.
Oh gosh.
Actually, you brought up something that kind of wanted to start a little conversation here about perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe, are you a perfectionist?
I don't know.
Do you have bouts of perfectionism in you where you struggle because you can't get a desired result for something and therefore give up?
No, I'm just perfect, so I don't.
Oh, you have a problem? Yeah,
no,
I have a problem.
I definitely, there's definitely times where I'll be like, I think everyone's going to deal with it to some degree, but I don't know how far I go with it.
I don't think if I had to, from knowing you just almost a decade, like I would say no, because you finish everything you start.
Right. I have to.
Perfection.
Yeah.
People who are perfectionists don't. They have such a long list of like incompletes.
Yeah.
So I would say you might encounter it.
You don't see the ones I'm hiding though.
Well, okay.
But
everyone's got skeletons, I guess.
Well, and I think too, when you, and not going commercial, but when you go business with art, you have that drive to finish it.
That is true. That is true.
And I think that's a good thing too, because before I started my business with the studio here, I was 100% what you said. Everything was 80% done and never finished.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, cool. Oh, you're a sound engineer. You do that. Show me something. I'm like, I have nothing because none of it's good enough. You know,
all
none
terrible.
of it is,
When in reality, it is all good enough. You know, what is good enough anyway? What's the definition of that? It's an individual thing.
Yeah.
If you're basing everything off of likes on Facebook and people, you know, what everyone else is telling you, you're just going to go down that really deep rabbit hole, and it's going to start affecting you not only in those particular things, but in all sort of aspects of your life. That's what I've had some pretty sizable epiphanies in the last 8 months, I would say.
Really?
Just encountering things. Yeah. I mean, I'm 47 now, and
No way. You're 47?
yeah,
That's cool, man.
it's, but I
hope I look that good when I'm 47.
Yeah, me
I
too,
appreciate
man.
that. See, I don't, again, like this isn't a perfectionism thing, but I feel like I feel older than I am, and I'm trying to change that. But
and what, physically, mentally,
a lot of it's
ecumenically,
physically. I don't know what that word means.
Ecumenically,
spiritually, financially.
Physically, I feel older. Spiritually, I feel younger. So I'm, working on that. I'm working on all the things, and it's either some things are being brought back, brought down, and some things are being brought up.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of, and I think this is I'm not fighting my age. It's completely fine. I don't, life is, that's what life is. It's the slow, decay of yourself, entropy and decay.
Life is death.
It's the only thing guaranteed.
Life is death. Yeah.
But I think there's some things. My father has been dealing with Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed officially. He's, for the last 10 years, he would forget things, and he's not progressed to long, like he still sounds completely normal. They gave him this diagnosis, but it hasn't quite hit him yet.
How old is he?
He is 79.
Okay.
And it runs in the family, thanks genetics. So so I'm not fearful of that. It is what it is. I'm definitely at peace with things you can't control. And that's something I've actually been learning. It's funny. I dove into Stoicism a little bit, like the Stoic philosophies. And I think a lot of people who don't, take even a couple hours to sort of learn about the basics of that, they have an immediate understanding that that's, anti-religion and anti-God and this and that, which is not. That's important to me because I'm not anti. I'm very much also learning that side of things. So I didn't want to get super into something that was blatantly anti-God. And it's not. It's a very basic sort of way to live your life that you can inject your religion into. And in reality, and this is what a lot of people don't know until you sort of get into it and learn some stuff, is that Christianity has kind of pulled a lot of Stoic philosophy into its own teachings.
There is so much mixture. If we can go down the history rabbit hole, I love talking about that. From Constantine on, and like people pulling up. Oh my goodness,
So, I think just for me, it's what's been important is pace of life and the perfectionism thing, and I mean, my life is full of failures. It's full of some grand success. I mean, I think I'm a pretty sizable success story. Yeah, especially in a traditional sense. I did not finish high school. I dropped out of high school. I didn't go to college. I got my good enough diploma.
Yeah, good enough diploma.
2 years after I dropped out.
That stands for GED.
GED, yes, GED.
Oh, is that what I got?
Stands for.
And it's funny because I'm dealing with that a little bit now with my history with my two boys, because one is 17, one is 15. They're both straight A students. Academically, they're way beyond where I was. But they're questioning what to do next, and they're kind of looking to me of partially advice and any wisdom I may have, but it's hard to. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm going to give them any pearls of wisdom I may have, but times change. Times are different. When my father was a teenager, you had to go to college. Like,
right.
if you wanted a good job in anything, they wanted to see, and they didn't care what it was, a degree in anything.
Yep.
They just wanted to see that piece of paper.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Get the piece of paper.
You finish something. You finish that level. Of
right. It's
education.
like they just want to see that you will stick to something and complete something. And then my generation, it was different. I mean, yes, doctors, lawyers, specific things, anything involved in accounting, math, heavy stuff like that. But a lot of it was trade, like you could get involved, kind of ground floor opportunities,
be a mechanic, be a
exactly,
builder,
exactly. And even some corporate jobs would, I have a lot of friends my age that kind of all over the world now that encountered, differently than me. They went to college, they did the full 4 years, then 2 more years of like grad school and this and that. And ended up not getting jobs because the employer didn't want to fight their education. They wanted to hire somebody and train them. Yeah. And that got even worse with like the millennial generation. Yep. Because they think they know it all, and they don't need to be. Is that you?
I'm 35 this month.
Okay. Well,
yeah, you're right on the cusp of
that. Yeah.
I technically think I am a millennial, I guess.
I don't remember.
I wouldn't. I mean, I can pick a millennial out of a crowd, and I wouldn't have put you in there.
I don't think I act like one.
I don't think so either.
Whenever I talk about millennials, I don't usually include myself in it.
Okay. But, well, it's just different. My kids are their own people, and I'm not sort of forcing anything. I'm letting them make their own decisions and fail. To succeed, you have to fail.
Yes, I think you have to in life because, whether you grow up with structure or no structure, if you have somebody over you that's telling you how things are, you can internalize it and make it your own. But at some point, it has to become your own, no matter how structured or unstructured you are. Because if you don't have the ownership of it, at some point when the floor falls out from underneath you, if you don't have something that you're hanging on to that you've internalized, there's nothing there. That's what people have the breakdowns because they're like, they put their
everything I had all my faith in is now collapsed.
Is now gone, and now I have nothing to live for.
Yeah, they were propping me up with everything that's there. And why did it go wrong, or why did everything go so right? And like I feel out of touch. I think that's a weird angle on it, but I think that also happens.
Yeah. Where did I get this $1 million?
Exactly. And it's like, what do I do with my life? I know how that feels. I know how that feels.
Yeah. World renowned artist Joe.
I hope we know this is a joke, right? Like, okay, all right.
Oh, it's real.
Well, what's funny though 100%. Is that I've had a little bit of success here in the sound engineering world, and not big by any means, but like some really cool personal goals and things too, right? So you've mentioned between podcasts here that you did some TV film and stuff like that too. And I was able to tap into a little bit of that. We did a feature film in Greer, and Dean Cain was in it.
Oh, cool.
So I did all the sound
Superman.
for that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's pretty cool in one sense, because we've talked so many times in so many episodes about Superman and like how he was a part of our childhood and still is today to this point. In more ways than one, music and character and just fun and, and being boys. But if you think about it, he's like one of a very few, people that are alive that have actually worn the cape, like I can count on one hand, 2 hands, probably the amount of people that actually did that and like being able to interact with him. And
true. Yeah.
Especially ones that people recognize even.
Yeah.
Like
right.
today too. I mean, makes it
we
even
could go
more
through,
limited.
you could go through all of them or whatever, but like,
as long as you don't count the Broadway ones.
Those
weird
shows. Is that in the 70s or 80s or something?
Yeah, something like that.
But I lost my train of thought where we're going.
I'm sorry.
Well,
some of the opportunities with this.
The opportunities with sound. So that was really cool. That's kind of a milestone there. And then also being able to have my own business, but then also being able to offer, full sound mixing, boom operation, and post-production work to people, where it's like, that's all I've ever wanted to do career wise. Was like, that was it.
So you're not working right now. You're
exactly. Yeah. You're literally making your work.
But okay, now I remember the connection piece, the millions of dollars, right? So when you're a kid and you see the artist or you see the recording engineer, because I've always wanted to be in the studio one shape or form ever since the beginning. Some of my earliest memories were like watching the old reel-to-reel tape machine that Ben had and falling asleep underneath the piano and Dad would play. Like, that's always been like the goal, right?
Yep.
In one way or form or the other. But in my mind when I was young was like, I'll be so wealthy then because those people are the ones that make the money. And Joe can tell you, art is not the place you go to get the money per se, especially in the beginning.
Feast and famine.
Yeah, but
times.
Yeah.
But
but if you really look at the cross section of people in this world who are artists, whether they're starving or successful, because it's a small percentage, it's just like actors. You know what I mean? Like you've got these headlining actors. There's tens living in LA for 7 years. There's tens of thousands of actors, and they're all starving. They're all waiting tables and living together, you know? So the thing is like, how fulfilled are you in your life?
That's it, man.
And I promise you at 47, I'm not super old, but I've been around the block enough to know money does not create fulfillment. It can buy you stuff. But that's all short-lived. You know?
Yeah, I think some people say, money can't buy you happiness. And it's like, it can. It can buy you a little bit of happiness.
It can buy you momentary
happiness. You can have some
happiness.
fun. But in the deeper things of life and what you decide matters, right?
Right.
That's when you start. So anyway, but purpose in like your work and what you do and fulfillment in that, all three of us have found different paths and things, but very similar too, I think, is what we're finding out about each other.
And there's a cool part about it here. And this is where I like asking Greg these questions, because there's a marrying
Captain
Gregory.
There it is.
Captain Gregory Cotton.
Forever now, you have to do that.
Every time I see
everywhere.
him.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a balance. Maybe it's not even a balance, but there's a connection between creative and technique, creative and technical, I guess you could say. Joe's always been on a more creative side, right?
Yeah.
He's the Apple guy, right? He wants everything to just work. I don't care how it works. I just want it to work because I got to create something.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side most of my life, right? Mine is like, I don't care what happens. I just want to see how it works. And I want to create it. I want to take it apart. That's how I've paid my way up until this point, is fixing and repairing cell phones and computers and game systems and building things. And, so now when I'm in the studio, there's far more creativity that I'm able to have now that matches that technical side.
Right.
Which is kind of the goal, right? To be able to have a balance that I can provide a service to somebody that's better because of both of those sides.
Exactly.
Because you can be super creative and just horrible and running something.
Yeah.
Or and the other side too, you can be so technical that there's no life to anything that you create.
Exactly.
So
there's a great book you would like. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And it exactly describes
it's like
those two types
sides.
Of people.
Yeah.
You know, they're always using the analogy of owning and riding a motorcycle. And the entire,
which you have, right?
I used to. I'm a little too old for that now.
Okay,
it's a different world we live in. Like it's dangerous at this point. So, but anyway, there's the type of person that wants a motorcycle for all the things you get with the motorcycle, the freedom, this and that, but they don't want to know how it works. They don't want to fix it. They don't want to do any of the maintenance. They just want to call somebody. And then you've got the other guy who's constantly tinkering on the weekends and getting his hands dirty and things like that. And I read that book when I was driving a motorcycle across the country when I was 17. I moved from Atlanta to Phoenix.
While you were driving?
Well, not
actually
No,
at
I'm
the same
so
time.
glad you don't do this anymore.
Yeah, right.
It's
That's
dangerous.
why I gave it up.
No wonder you thought it was dangerous.
You stop
rephrase.
reading and driving.
Yes.
Most people are texting. He's reading and driving.
This was 1995, so I mean, there wasn't texting then, but so it was
stop
actually
paging and driving.
one of the best reads for me, and I just reread it about 6 months ago to see if my 46-year-old brain at the time would interpret any different than my 17-year-old, and it gave me the same feels.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
But I am definitely the guy who also wants to tinker. I know my limitations, but
Yeah.
and those things can change as you get older too.
Yep.
There are things like that I jokingly will say, well, I'm too old for that, and I've got money in my pocket, so I'll just pay somebody. But it depends on where your passions still lie.
I'm right on that line, man.
Yeah.
Because I still have a bunch of people that'll call me to like fix stuff. And I'm like, I know I can make a quick buck and I can do it really fast and do it really well. I just don't want it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I've done thousands. I don't know. I probably need to count, like kind of figure that out of how many phones I fixed and how many tablets and
Speaking
computers.
of, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
Well, that goes back to fulfillment, like what
Yep.
those the sort of criteria for that will change as you change. We're constantly evolving. We're not the same as we were a week ago or a day ago, and we'll be different 10 years from now.
I think it's really interesting when I'll kind of expound upon something that I was learning in college, and I was studying psychology, honestly, and counseling, and there are a number of different, personality tests you can do and all that kind of thing. We're kind of on that topic where it's like Everett, for instance, someone like you, my brother Ken, a lot of people who I surround myself with, by the way, are people who at least have the skills or the desire to see things from a machine or things level. Right. So I'm very like people based. I get charged by at least for a while by being around people and everything. And everyone, certain people can draw some energy from that. Some
and
people.
If you guys are interested in hearing more about that, you can look up our previous episodes.
That's right.
Introversion and extroversion.
Yes, we talked about that.
I don't know which episode it is. So just go look.
You just have to
Listen
find
them
it.
all multiple times.
But one of good. We brought that into the equation. One thing that I found really interesting is that he mentioned how there's a bunch of different models, okay? But in this specific model, it was like there were 4 personality types. And, you got your sanguine and some of the others, phlegmatic and all these, because the original phlegmatic.
Those are the ones with sinus infections.
Yep. Actually, most of them had to deal with, they thought that there were different fluids in the body.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. And all those different fluids in the body like meant that you would, because they noticed there were these 4 basic people that would come out, right? Like essentially you were going to somewhat
There's
fit.
one. There's another one.
But that being said,
I forgot about that. You're right.
The people who seem to be the most loving people, if you will, on the planet were the ones who would you couldn't tell what they were.
Huh.
Not always. I'm not saying that you can't be like, oh, man, I love working on machines and like you're a terrible human.
Super obvious.
Yeah, but what's happened is I think maturity essentially is all I'm saying is that maturity oftentimes can be coupled with the ability to know thyself, right? To know how you are and then to learn how to balance it for the rest of your life. So I actually take that with a grain of salt, even when people nowadays will be like, oh, you're an artist, so you're this. And, nobody likes, especially certain personalities, including myself, didn't like being boxed into like, well, that's how I'm going to be for forever. It's like, why can't I be good at machines then? Or why can't I understand this or that? And some of the journey for me is
ballet.
Yeah, learning ballet.
I'd like to see that.
Ballet.
I would watch that.
I know you would, Greg. I definitely know you would. I would like to see that.
I'm going to add the little twinkle toes. Joe goes across the studio floor.
But you guys get kind of what I'm saying. In other words,
100%.
Yeah.
And some of the people, I included my own father in that. Although there are definite like, wow, I think he's kind of fits into that category a little bit. It can't like pin him to it though.
No, because Dad, we've talked about this. We talk about family a lot, but in short, Dad is introverted and he's stoic and he's Scandinavian, all that side good things. But he spent his entire life in the classroom, whether learning or teaching, on a very exuberant level.
Yeah.
Because the passion overcame
and he's an entertainer. So,
yeah.
There were those, or at least, elements of that.
Right. And being a musician and stuff like that too is a very exposed, expressive way of life too, for somebody that's very private. So two opposites.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say he was introverted, but yet an entertainer and musician and everything else. I'm an introvert 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't open up unless it's my crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not the life of the party. I never have been, never will be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay with me. It was tough when I was a kid.
What crowd were you when you were a kid?
What crowd?
What crowd were you in?
Oh, so
were you a sports guy?
Were
you in the middle?
I was in the middle.
I was going to say you're probably in the middle.
Yeah, I was actually kind of the mediator for most things between the groups, when the goths had problems with the skaters and this and that. I was, for as introverted as I felt on the inside, I hid it well. And I think situationally, going to high school, I didn't feel as introverted in high school because it just didn't affect me. This is more.
And you're still developing too. It's
That's
not
right.
like you're set when you're young.
Right.
You have tendencies, and obviously parents have a lot to do with that, and how you grew up and your main group of friends who you connect with. But you do have tendencies toward it, and I was 100% the same way. I did some sports. I was heavily involved in the arts, music, sports as well, but sitting kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that didn't like me, but I wasn't. I wasn't like captain of a crew.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, me
I was in the middle.
Yeah, I dabbled with everything, but I was never, kind of like high up in a particular group.
Did you always have a perfectionist thread? Did that come later?
That came later. Yeah, I think that developed probably in my 20s. I don't know where it even came from.
Is it a self-confidence thing where you're like, hey, I'm good at this?
So, yeah.
And then you start holding yourself accountable to higher standards.
No, I think it was fear of failure.
Okay.
I think it was, I was actually telling Joe the other day, we were discussing journals and like sketchbooks, and I had given him a sketchbook or just a blank paper notebook. I guess it's a sketchbook that he has.
Oh, yeah. The one in the leather wrap.
Yeah. And it turned out it had some notes that I had written in it. I can't even remember now.
Yeah. Now I'm keeping it. I'm not letting them have it.
A Hobbit's Tale.
Yeah. I actually think they're really cool.
It's
like business ideas or like
related notes and ideas and
things
stuff
like that.
And I told him after we discovered that, I found a notebook that I've had since I was, I think, 15 or 16. In a box that I had full of all ex-girlfriend memorabilia and stuff, and I found this notebook.
I found that one too,
and I had business ideas.
I have a story.
You
about
find
that
some
too.
Polaroids?
No, I don't want to say it. Let's just continue. I don't think this is a good path to go down. Keep going.
I had a pillowcase full of notes.
Oh yeah.
Man.
My mom found them one time.
Oh.
They're all from one girl. Nothing bad or anything.
Yeah, we've all
but it was like, one of the first loves or something. I had like, 50 of them, and I don't know. I just was like weird about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never read them. Never did it. Just had to have them. Though.
I keep them too, but
You still have them?
I've allowed myself to keep I say shoebox. It was either like high tops or it was actually like a boot box, but it's an oversized shoebox. And that's what I allow myself to keep. Even to this day, if something tickles me and I want to keep it, it's got to fit in that box because I don't want to let it get out of hand.
Right.
I know some people who literally keep like everything. And my wife's one of them. She's not like a hoarder, but she has a hard time letting go of things that even have the slightest iota of a good memory.
Yeah.
And I think, you can't take that stuff with you in the end. So why tote it around for the next
If it
60
helps you and
years?
reminds you and gives you good memory.
That's what I've decided.
It helps. And it's part of who you are or something like that too. I think that's really cool.
And it's been interesting because my 17-year-old, he and I went through it together because it had some kind of cool things. Like one of the things that was in there was a very sun-faded, but you can still read it. It's a ticket stub to the Smashing Pumpkins in like 1990 at
that's pretty cool.
At a venue in Atlanta.
Oh, you just found a tape that you had done. Was it the year Tony Hawk did his...
The 900. I went to that X Games.
I remember watching that.
I was there, and I had an old school, early 90s
like camcorder,
VHS
right?
Oh, so a videotape.
Yeah, and I took it to a place in Greer and had them digitize it. Turns out I was the worst cameraman ever. And it's, there's no stabilization back in the early 90s. And I did not get the 900 on
We all got sick watching it. No.
I got mostly biking. I was a skater, but I was a bigger biker. So I wasn't the Tony Hawk guy. I was the
was it David?
Dave Mira, Matt Nyquist. Ryan Nyquist, I should say.
Dave Merriman. There's another guy. There's another big.
Matt Hoffman.
Hoffman, yeah.
One of my first bikes was a Hoffman BMX.
Yeah, I was a skater for a while. You remember those days?
Oh, yeah. Dude, you had a nasty kickflip, man. You could just pop it.
Did.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I had that. That's about it. I had that in my arsenal, and I think that was it.
Yeah.
A good, solid kickflip.
So I rode regular, but I tricked Goofy.
Oh.
So I did everything from the front.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So everything was fakey or nollie.
I was say fake, nollie.
Yeah. Yep. You're a bit of a freak.
Yeah, it was, but it looked cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Everything was backwards.
Because those are the harder tricks.
Right, but it was easier for me to do that.
Yeah, which is funny. That is funny.
Because I would, because if you're riding regular, your right foot's back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but I would trick with my left.
Yeah. I'll be honest. See, that's an area where maybe this comes into play. Where the few times I got on, there's a couple things that I definitely fit into that category of like, I'm not good at it, and if I can't win at it, I'm not going to do it. And one of them would probably be skateboard. Another one would be skating, like ice skating.
Oh man, no.
See,
that was something I never.
I didn't like.
Never had any success with.
So some things they'll
do
challenge me, and I'll be like, "Well, I can get it, and I'm gonna get it right." And you just like, I'm gonna do it. But that one, like, I could just leave.
And you guys are Michigan boys.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I never skied, I never skated. I did snowboard a couple times, but I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Killed myself two times. But and then I was even in Denver for years with my wife. Never went up and did snowboarding or skiing. Oh,
you're missing out. Yeah. It's too late now, but
of course. I did go skydiving.
I mean, when I was in Wisconsin in junior high and of course elementary, you guys were in Michigan. That's what's funny.
Yeah.
We were reasonably close.
We moved to Wisconsin in 2000.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was in.
You're probably gone by that point.
Yeah. This was the 80s for me.
Yeah.
So
we were in the 90s. Well, I was in the 90s.
I was a 90s kid technically. I was born in 84, but
in junior high in Wisconsin, I was on the ski team. I played hockey. Like it kind of was like.
Then you're getting the full experience of being up in the north end.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the only
my
thing.
experience in the snow was shoveling it or getting hit in the face with a snowball thrown by Joe,
right?
Who can throw 85 mile an hour when he was
only
15.
with a snowball though.
Yeah, in the face.
I definitely enjoyed. It's in
the face.
I think I've told this on. You can also find that on a podcast where we talked about throwing snowballs. But I remember literally timing it with Ken. I got it down to where I'd have at least two made, and I'd throw one in the air, catch him looking up at the one coming.
The old dog trick.
Yeah, and then. But my favorite one was at Grandma's house, and there was a tree, and I remember telling someone. I don't know if it was Peter next to me.
I don't like this story.
Can I tell it, Ken? Is that okay?
That's fine.
I might actually have to end on this if that's okay.
Yep.
All right.
Fine,
so, okay.
I don't care.
You have to sit there and listen to it.
I'm going to go sailing on the boat with Captain Gregory.
Yeah.
You didn't say it right.
Captain Gregory.
There we go.
That just sounds exactly like a cartoon.
I can't wait to go watch this. I can't wait.
Oh, man. Well, anyway. I'll make it short. But basically, I just remember timing it so that I was like, watch this, Peter, or whoever it was that was with me right next to me. And we had made little mounds basically to hide behind and stuff.
Peter's picking his boogers, didn't even care.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
As long as it's
But
not
I
me.
had somebody videoing it, though, and I've got it on video.
What?
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. I have this event on video. But anyway.
How recent was this? What are you talking about?
I don't know. All I know is that there's video of it. I'll find it and send it to you.
We didn't have any video cameras.
This is a little bit later. This is like we went away to Michigan or to Wisconsin and then came
People
back
had cell
visiting.
phones?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, this exists. And I tried to put it in slow motion. It's kind of choppy, but it's pretty funny. So I have slow motion Ken getting
now I'm lost. I don't know what you're talking
slammed in
about.
the face.
You know, you can splice together your like slamming ping pong video with that and just time them.
no.
That'd be great.
Oh man. Well,
behind a tree?
You were either behind the tree or the kind of fort that we had made. And I could just catch like
fort. See, this doesn't add up. You're like, it's
you gotta give him a
semi-recently.
time
The
frame.
last time I built a fort, I was like 10 years old. This is like 25 years ago.
Oh man. Well, anyway, you were running I knew what you were going to do before you did it is all I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And that was the
hated
key.
that.
Yeah.
Because I could never win.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's the older brother thing. Like that's I'd try to beat my older brother at all kinds of stuff. And you know, every now and then you get your little spot in the sun and that's all it takes. You just gotta have it. So
this was like the perfect Fortnite maneuver.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was like a little
You led him right
dodge,
into it.
and then I was like, "Here it comes." And
Greg's
I
pretty
told
cool
him,
with the kids. He's playing Fortnite.
"Dude, he's super cool."
That's your
But what
fault,
was
Joe.
cool is you could see. So when my arm let go,
Right. You're like leading.
no, but
You're throwing to the spot I will
the
be.
video of it. The video of it shows like in a game when you like the camera stays center no matter what on your rifle, right? Like and right. So imagine that down my like 2-seam fastball kind of snap, if you will. You get to see that like come off the hand and you see it go straight your way and you're like there's no way this is gonna hit him because you're still not there. You're like, you know, you're running that direction, but you're like, wait a minute, maybe it is. Oh my goodness. And then and the hat comes off your head in slow-mo. It's beautiful.
So there's two things I need to see tonight.
I gotta find it now.
Pagemakers,
The Pagemaster.
The pet
and
major.
this slow flow video. Slow flow
video.
There is a
copyrighted
video.
Captain Greg. Slow flow. I'm gonna invent that.
Slow flow. He's installed it in his boat. Hey, this has been fun, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Joking.